In this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the y-intercept. How do I find a y-intercept? Well, I remember that a y-intercept always has 0 for x. Okay, because whenever I'm looking for a point that's on the y-axis, it's always going to have an x value of 0. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this equation, and whenever I see x, I'm going to plug in a 0 instead. So this becomes 0 squared, which is 0, plus 0 minus 12. What's 0 plus 0 minus 12? It's negative 12. So this point on the graph is x is 0 and y is negative 12. So that's one of my points on the graph. And I can, if I want, I can even start working on the graph right now and just set it up and put my 0, negative 12, right? Here's my y-axis. My 0, negative 12 is going to be down here as a negative y-intercept. Okay, and now I'm going to look for my x-intercepts. So here is my equation up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug 0 in for y now, right? And I'm going to leave myself a little bit more space here. So plug in 0 for y. Okay, if I want a x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y. So notice this says y equals all this junk. Well, I'm going to make it that 0 equals all that junk. And I just like to put the 0 on the right because it's prettier over there. Okay, and now I'm going to factor. So what am I looking for when I factor? I'm looking for two numbers. And in this case, they multiply to negative 12. And they add to this number right here, which is an invisible 1. So what are two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to 1? And since it's negative 12, that means I'm going to have one positive and one negative. And so I'm trying to think of two numbers that multiply to 12, and if I subtract them, I get 1. And so those two numbers, right, I think, okay, 1 times 12, no, those don't subtract to 1. 6 times 2, those don't subtract to 1. 4 times 3, 4 minus 3 is 1. So if I want them to add to positive 1, I'm going to make the 4 positive and the 3 negative. So 4 minus 3 is 1. And 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. So here's my factor form. And now I'm going to say, okay, well, if this times this equals 0, then either this equals 0 or this equals 0. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides here, and I get x equals negative 4. So that's one of my points where x equals negative 4. And remember, I plugged in 0 for y. And then over here, in order to get x by itself, I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and that's this point. So let me go ahead and graph these points. So negative 4, 0 is like maybe right here, and 3, 0 is a little bit closer to the axis, something like this. And then when I go to sketch my graph, my parabola, it's going to look something like this, right? It's a little crooked, but it's okay.